Various events are being held across the world to mark the UN International Day of Solidarity with the Palestinian People. In the South African city of Johannesburg, trade unions and members of civil society have been holding demonstrations calling for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza. South Africa's parliament voted last week recommending the closure of the Israeli embassy in the country and a suspension of diplomatic ties. Fahmida Miller has more from Johannesburg.
The call for a free Palestine resonates with many South Africans because of South Africa's apartheid history. They say that Palestinians are going through exactly what people of color in South Africa went through for decades. And some analysts have drawn parallels between an apartheid Israel and an apartheid South Africa. They say two countries that worked together from 1948 to achieve their objectives. And many people here say they're hoping that their presence at this demonstration will bring change.
It is not the war that started on the 7th of October as Arab people want to claim. It started 75 years ago when that area, that region was occupied by the Israelis.
I'm here to really just express our outcry and horror at the 247 healthcare workers that have been killed in Gaza, the hospitals that have been bombed, and the civilians and children that have been targeted.
Dozens of organizations have come together in Johannesburg. They're made up of political parties, NGOs, civil society organizations, but they all have one thing in common. They're calling for a free Palestine and an end to the genocide. They say they also want the South African government to cut diplomatic ties with Israel. That has been under debate for a number of weeks now. The South African Parliament has held a vote where the resolution was passed that South Africa should indeed sever ties with Israel, but ultimately it's up to the President Cyril Ramaphosa, and there's been no word from the President or the Cabinet on what South Africa will do next. But protests like this continue around the country. There have been protests in main cities like Durban, Johannesburg, where we are, as well as Cape Town, and there are a number of protests planned for the coming days. Fahmida Miller, Al Jazeera, Johannesburg.